One of the most difficult parts of building a business is that effort and results rarely arrive at the same time. We all love success stories, the launch that sold out, the post that went viral, the business owner who seemingly appeared out of nowhere and became successful overnight. But what we rarely see is everything that happens beforehand, the months of showing up, the disappointments, the consistency, repetition, the invisible work. And I think that's where many business owners are right now and struggling. Not because they're failing and not because they're necessarily doing the wrong things. I think it's because they're standing in the middle of a journey expecting to see the finish line. And often that's not how growth works. Growth is usually far less dramatic than social media would have us believe. It's often built quietly, one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time, one piece of content at a time, one improvement at a time. The challenge is that these things don't always create immediate evidence. You can spend weeks creating trust before someone ever contacts you. You can have people reading your content for months before they decide to reach out. You can be building momentum long before you see measurable results. And that's frustrating because business owners naturally crave feedback. We want reassurance that what we're doing is working. We want signs that our effort is actually leading somewhere. We want proof. But business often asks us for consistency before it will give us that proof. And I think that's one of the biggest mindset shifts required for sustainable growth. Learning to distinguish between evidence and momentum. Evidence is visible, momentum often isn't. Momentum is what happens before the result. It's the relationship developing quietly. It's the audience becoming familiar with you. It's trust being built, systems improving, the foundation strengthening. The problem is that momentum rarely feels exciting. It's repetitive. It's ordinary. It feels like recording another video, writing another post, starting another conversation, showing up again. And because it feels ordinary, people often underestimate its importance. They assume that because nothing dramatic has happened, nothing is happening at all. But they're not the same things. And one of the mistakes I see business owners make is abandoning good activity simply because the results haven't arrived yet. They start posting, then stop. They start networking, then stop. They start building relationships, then stop. Not because the activity is ineffective, but because they expected evidence sooner than it realistically arrived. Now, that is not the same as blindly continuing forever, and there is a distinction here. We should absolutely evaluate our efforts. We should refine and improve as we go. But refinement is different from constantly starting over. Refinement says, this is working. How can I make it better? Starting over says, this hasn't produced instant results. I'm going to abandon it. Toys out the pram, let's have a strop. And that's where many businesses lose momentum, not because they lack potential, but because they change direction too quickly. One of the things I encourage business owners to focus on is identifying lead indicators rather than waiting exclusively for final outcomes. For example, are more people engaging? Are more people connecting? More people responding? Are more conversations starting? Are more opportunities appearing? These things matter because they often arrive before a final result. They're signs that momentum is being created, signs that movement is happening and that trust is being built. And trust is one of the most valuable assets in any business because nobody's going to buy from someone they don't trust, which means trust building activity is never wasted, even if it doesn't immediately create revenue. And this brings me to something I think is particularly important. Growth becomes much easier when we stop trying to do everything ourselves. Because while consistency matters, your capacity matters even more. You only have so much time, so much energy, so much attention. And that is one of the reasons why I created Connection Scout. You see, Connection Scout helps business owners identify better fit conversations and opportunities without spending hours manually searching for them. Not because we're trying to remove relationships from business. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We're trying to create more of the right relationships whilst reducing the time spent looking for them. Because if growth is ultimately built through conversation and trust, then it makes sense to focus your energy where trust is most likely to develop. And that's a far more sustainable approach than simply doing more and more activity. So if you've been showing up consistently, creating content, building visibility, and wondering whether any of it is actually going to lead somewhere, send me the word Scout. And I'll show you exactly how Connection Scout works, what it costs, who it's designed for, and whether it's a good fit for you and your business. Because growth often feels slow when it's happening, but slow doesn't mean stuck, and invisible doesn't mean unimportant. Now, if this kind of information and these topics interest you, I've got a full series of Calm AI systems for business owners, and you can watch the next video in the series in just a moment.